and welcome to Utah Tech Lead Series. We are here today joined by Sarah Nielsen from the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. Hi, Sarah. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate your time. Tell us a little bit about what you do at GOEO and why we asked you to join us.
So I am a grants manager at GOEO. And good job saying the whole thing. It's a bit of a mouthful. And so I manage a few of the grants that we have, some of which I'll be talking about today, including the Air and Water Grant, Manufacturing Modernization Grant, and the Rural Employment Development Incentive Grant.
So tell us a little bit about who these grants are available to first.
So each of these grants are available to businesses. That's their main focus. The rural one is obviously for rural businesses, but these are some of our business-driven grants.
So like anyone in the business community can apply, is that correct?
More or less, we do have some eligibility criteria. One of the common ones is being registered with the Utah Division of Corporations and Commercial Code and having a business entity number. But for the most part, any business can apply. The Air and Water Grant, both Air and Water and Manufacturing Modernization just closed. But the Air and Water Grant is also available for nonprofit business entities to apply.
Okay, so you have a presentation for us. Why don't we get started on that?
Sounds good. Okay, can everyone see the screen? Great.
Yep.
So, like I said, I'm Sarah. I'm a grants manager in our office, Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. And I'm going to talk to you a bit about we'll start with some of the grants. We have some business grants and some community grants. The business grants are those that are directly helping businesses, supporting our businesses in Utah. And the community grants are indirectly supporting businesses. They're helping the communities that will then help businesses and economic development opportunities in those areas. And then I'll talk a bit about the grant life cycle with our office, kind of the process that you'll go through if you receive a grant, and then how to access the application portal. I'll also, if there's time, have some other resources our office has to offer at the end, and then I can take any questions at the end if I haven't covered something that you're interested in. So first we have our business grants. Like I mentioned, we have two that just closed, the Air and Water Innovation Grant and the Manufacturing Modernization Grant. And we're currently in our evaluation process on those two, which I'll talk about more in that life cycle. But we do have one upcoming grant for businesses, the Economic Assistance Grant, and that will be opening in August. And then we have two ongoing grants, the Rural Employment Development Incentive Grant and the Utah Technology Innovation Funding. So the first one is the Economic Assistance Grant. Like I said, will be opening in August. We were allocated $4.5 million by the legislature this past general session. And the amount of funding per application is $200,000. If you'll see in the purpose that we have there, it is a pretty broad grant. So it's one of our most popular grants. We do receive a lot of applications on this grant, and it does touch a lot of different industries. So going back to that eligibility criteria, most businesses in Utah are probably eligible for this grant. If you provide a service related to industry, education, community development, or infrastructure. So it's very broad. And per statute with this grant, we do prioritize applications that are intended to develop a targeted industry in the state, which we have 5 targeted industries. Off the top of my head, I don't think I can remember all of them, but we have aerospace, healthcare, life sciences, advanced manufacturing, and I think there's one more that I can't quite remember, but we have that all listed on our website. Also with this grant, we'll prioritize applications that identify clear metrics that measure the progress and effectiveness of the project. can demonstrate a comprehensive planning of the project and only require one-time funds. So like I said, this is a very popular grant. Last year, we received about 400 applications, and from these, over 30 industries in the state were represented. So it is very broad, and which makes it competitive, but it can also help a lot of great businesses that might not qualify for some of our other grants. So the next one is the Rural Employment Development Incentive Grant. This is one that I manage. It is an ongoing opportunity. We receive $1.5 million in funds from the legislature each year for the past 3 or 4 years, I think. And we award $5,000 to $6,000 per employee. So this grant, the purpose of it is to support businesses creating new high-paying jobs. So with these, businesses can apply and tell us that they're planning on hiring 10 people in a rural community. And with that, they can earn up to $50,000 in grant funds. This grant is a little different than some of our one-time funding grants, in that it is a post-performance grant. So you have to hire an employee, retain that employee for a year, and then you can receive the funds. But it is a underused resource, so I encourage people to check it out. This is specifically for counties of the 3rd, 4th, or 5th class, and then certain communities in 2nd class counties. And that's just, the class system is just based on the population.
Can you tell us real quick who's in the 1st and 2nd class of the counties? And that way we can know everyone else is 3rd, 4th, or 5th.
Yes, absolutely. So I actually have this slide, so you led right to it. 1st class counties, that's Salt Lake County. And that's it. 2nd class counties are Utah, Davis, Washington, and Weber. And then the rest are 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th class counties. So this list kind of shows the average wage, the state average wage, and then in the 6th column, it shows how much you can receive per employee. So in Summit County, you'd only receive $5,000 per employee, and in San Juan County, you would receive $6,000. And then on the right side of the screen are the different communities or cities in these counties that have less than 10,000 people living there. So those would also be eligible to receive $5,000 per employee. So the next grant that we have is also ongoing. It's the Utah Technology Innovation Funding. This grant is for research and development and anything tech focused, new technology focused. So the point of this grant is to help businesses that are trying to apply for the Small Business Innovation Research, a federal grant program, or the Small Business Technology Transfer. So we have micro grants to help businesses through that initial application process before they've applied for SBIR or STTR, as it can be a pretty cumbersome process, as many federal processes are. And we do have for the micro grants, it is $3,000 up to $3,000, but there's an additional $2,000 for companies that are rural, women-owned, or owned by disadvantaged groups. And then the non-recourse loan is to help carry businesses over from phase 1 into phase 2. And that is you can receive up to $50,000 or up to $60,000, again, for companies that are rural, women-owned, or owned by disadvantaged groups.
Sarah, what's the source of the non-recourse loans, and what do you mean by non-recourse?
Good question. So this is not one of my programs, so I'm a little bit rusty, and there is more information on our website. From what I understand of it, though, the non-recourse loan, if you never get to market with your product, then you don't have to pay the loan back. But we do have monthly workshops so the Utah Innovation Center within our office is the one who runs this program. And they do have monthly workshops where they will talk about the UTIF grant, and also the process to work with them to get SBIR or STTR funding.
Sorry, what was that group again?
The Utah Innovation Center. And I'll have their contact information on the last slide of my presentation.
Okay, yeah, I'd just be curious. So I'm Utah Microloan Fund, and so
Okay.
I lend to these types of companies. So I'm curious about who's doing the lending.
Yes, so I believe that's funding that we receive each year from the legislature, but I am not 100% certain on that.
Thank you.
So we also, as I mentioned, have some community-focused grants that are supposed to indirectly help businesses by helping the communities address their economic development needs. So the first of those is the Rural Communities Opportunity Grant. This one, we are doing an intent to apply starting in August, where we will help municipalities, counties, cities, and associations of government prepare applications to help them narrow down and really present the best application they can for the actual grant, which application opens in mid-October. And each of these municipalities or organizations, local organizations, can receive up to $600,000 through this grant. And it's, as it says, to empower rural communities to take responsibility for economic development. And some of these economic development needs of communities can include business recruitment, development and expansion, workforce training and development, infrastructure and capital facilities improvements for business development as well. And similarly, we have the Rural County Grant, which essentially has the same purpose. But it's specifically for rural counties. So counties of the 3rd, 4th, or 6th class, some of which are listed on one of my previous slides. With the Rural County Grant, though, rural counties can use that funding to award grants to businesses in their areas. So they can have sub-grantees through this program. So like I said at the beginning, I was going to talk about kind of this process of applying for a grant and what happens next if you receive it. So as with any grant, you have to submit an application, which I'll talk about in just a moment, how to go about doing that. Once you've submitted your application and the grant has closed for those that are one-time funding, it goes through an evaluation process. This can be in multiple phases, depending on the number of applications we receive. Or it can be in one phase if we don't have as many applications. Or with the READY program, the Rural Employment Development Incentive, that's something that I just take care of on a rolling basis. Once you have been approved and have been awarded a grant, you'll go through our contracting process. And that can take about 2 weeks once we have all the information to develop that contract and get it signed and ready. Then upon signing your contract, we'll have the initial disbursement of funds. You can go forward, you can work on the project that you propose in your application, you can complete this project is the goal, of course, and we are pretty understanding when things tend to go awry. We also have reporting requirements at different points in the year if you have a multi-year project, or at the end of your project, at the end of your contract period. And once you have completed your report, you will send us your final invoice and we'll give you a final disbursement of funds. Generally, the funding is dispersed either 75% at the beginning and 25% at the end, or 90% at the beginning and 10% at the end. So now how to access the application portal. So the first thing you have to do, if you don't already have an account, you need to create a new user. So I have on this slide, I have the link where you'll go to create a new user. And this is what it looks like when you get there. So you'll fill out this information. And there's some more information about your mailing address, the primary contact, and then you'll hit submit at the end. So once you've hit submit, you will receive a confirmation email, including a case number, which you will then be able to use if you need to reach out if you have any other problems or any issues. It can take up to 1 business day for these new user requests to be processed. And once they are processed, you'll receive another email containing your username and a temporary password. We do advise that if you haven't received an email, if you never received a confirmation email, especially, to email our Salesforce support team at econsfsupport@utah.gov, which I'll have listed on the last slide as well. And then we also encourage you to check your spam or junk folder. Sometimes when emails get sent from Salesforce, people's emails will flag it as spam. So make sure you check that after submitting your application for a new user. So then once you're in, you can create your application. So once you log in, this is what the homepage looks like. To create your application, you can either go to the apply circle in the center of the page, or you can go to funding applications. And the link to this website will be included in your email with your username and password, but I've also included it at the bottom of the slide. So once you're in funding applications, it'll look something like this. Mine's a little different because I have an internal view, but it will say the different applications that are available, the close date and time, so you're aware of it. And then you'll be able to click on the apply button.
So Sarah, is this portal open for people to check year round so they don't have to create a new account each year? Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And we want you to keep a record of your username and password, because you can use that at any point. It's not specific to whatever grant you're applying for at the time. It's just to access this portal.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you can, when you're looking at an application, say you wanted to apply for the enterprise zone tax credit, you would either click on the text of the application itself, that's blue, or you can click the apply button. And either way, it'll take you to an application, which you will then fill out. And you can either, if you're not ready to submit your application at the moment, you can hit save and exit. The application does automatically save each time you move to a new page in the application, so you don't have to worry about that as much. And then once you're ready to submit it, you can hit the submit button, which I have on the next page. So this save and exit, save previous, submit funding application, that's what that's going to look like. If you have saved your application and you want to go back into the portal to work on it, or if you've submitted your application and you want to check the status, you can again access the portal here. And instead of going to apply, you'll go to the update circle, or you'll go to my applications. And again, this will take you to your this application page, and it'll show you each of the applications that you've applied for or that you have in draft. And it also shows you the status. So this is helpful as sometimes during the evaluation process, we do have a lot of people reach out wanting to know what the status is. And this is mostly what we will tell you to check. As you can see, I have 3 applications listed on there. And 1 is still in draft, meaning I would have to go back in and work on it and submit it. And that's where that little green pencil icon, that's how you go back into your application to continue working on it and eventually submit it. Or you can see that the application for the non-custodial blockchain registry was approved. or the manufacturing modernization grant application was just submitted. So this is where you can check on the status of your application and where you will go back once you've created your application to complete it instead of creating multiple new applications each time you enter in. Are there any questions about this process before I move on? No? Great. So like I said at the beginning, I have some other resources that I wanted to share, including the Utah Innovation Center. So they are the ones who handle the technology innovation funding, but they also do a lot more. So it's a one-stop solution for startups and emerging businesses working in technology innovation. They help you with the whole process of SBIR and STTR funding. Some of their services include direct proposal assistance. They'll meet with you one-on-one, do proposal editing and review. They have the matching funds through the microgrants and the non-recourse loans. They do agency-specific training to help you understand the specific nuances and requirements of the participating federal agencies. And they do, they connect you with federal program officers. They can mentor you, connect you with a funding network and other industry associations, and also with the university technology transfer so that you can collaborate with technology transfer offices. As I mentioned, they do have 3-hour-long workshops once a month where you can learn more and you can talk to staff in the Innovation Center and get some support and set up one-on-one meetings with them. So the link to the workshop is on the bottom of the page, and it's also on our website. And the next workshop will be held on August 9th. So you'll use that link and it'll take you to an Eventbrite where you can register. Some of those, I believe, are virtual, some in person, or they may have a hybrid. We also have on our website recordings from previous workshops that you can look at if you're planning on applying for something before the next in-person workshop. So another resource that is housed within our office is the Utah Small Business Credit Initiative. So this initiative offers loans of $25,000 to $3 million to Utah small businesses through 2 lending programs, the Capital Access Program and the Loan Participation Program. For businesses interested, they can apply through one of the initiative enrolled lenders. So currently we're going through the process of approving lenders and the final list is coming soon. But for updates, you can subscribe to the USBCI newsletter. There is a link to all the different newsletters you can subscribe to with our office, and theirs is the last one in the list. Another resource we have is the Utah Apex Accelerators. This group of lovely looking people on the right are here to help businesses land contracts with the federal government, state government, local agencies, so that once you have your business going, once you've used these grants to get your business moving, you can work with them to grow your business. This team provides one-on-one consultations. They can help you register for the Federal System for Award Management, SAM.gov, and they have regional officers throughout the state. So beneath each person on the right is their different regions. For those of you in Salt Lake, you would want to work with Paula Kramer. Also, if you're in Summit and Tooele, and each of these people is happy to help, and they're really great to work with. And then the last resource I just wanted to touch on is our Doing Business in Utah page on our website. If you go to the homepage, you will see 3 boxes, one that says grants, one that says Doing Business in Utah, and one that says events. If you click on the Doing Business in Utah, it will take you to a page with different resources that our team has curated to help businesses navigate the state's different resources and the business ecosystem, including this repository of small business resources that I have shown on the screen. So these resources, you can, as it says, you can filter them by what you're looking for specifically. If you're looking for grants, if you're looking for access to capital, business registration, you can use that first filter, or you can filter by industry if you're focused on what other options are available in your industry, what other businesses may be in your industry that you're looking to learn more about. And you can also filter using the search bar if you're interested in resources for other women-owned businesses. So this is another great resource that includes more than just what's available in our office, but just what's available in Utah that can help small businesses and other businesses grow. So, like I said, here's the list of contacts or resources where you can learn more about each of these programs. I'm
Fantastic.
happy to take any questions, and I'll do my best to answer them too.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions they want to ask Sarah before we release the genius that she holds?
So just to confirm, the economic assistance grant, nonprofits can apply for that, right? If we do community development.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And thank you for this. This is awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Happy to help get the word out.
Sarah, would you mind sending me these slides so I can send them to everybody? Who
Happy to.
That way they can have those.
Thank you. I was just going to ask that.
Thank you, Representative, for joining us. That's Representative Christine Watkins. For those of you who don't know, she is actually one of the main reasons that so many of our businesses targeted towards women founders and women in business getting into business actually have funding this year. So special thanks and shout out to her.
Thank you.
Okay, well, with no more questions, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time and efforts around this. I will be sending the slides to everybody who registered. So feel free, if you haven't actually registered yet, you can email me. It's just elizabeth@utahtechleads.com. And then we will make sure that you get a copy of these. Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us today. We really appreciate it.